And speaking of home design, let's talk about home building. In a segment filmed earlier this week, we talked to the CEO of Taylor Morrison Home Builders, Sheryl Palmer. Let's take a look.
Hello, I'm Cameron Jones, and joining me today is Sheryl Palmer, the CEO of Taylor Morrison Home Building. Thank you for being here, Sheryl.
Of course, my pleasure.
Before we begin, I have to say this is such a great topic to be talking about. We'll get to that in a second. About home building, because as a millennial like myself, I want to buy property.
Good.
I want to invest.
I'm so glad to hear that.
But it's expensive.
In New York.
It's a commitment.
That's true.
And it takes a really good focus. So first, tell us a little bit about Taylor Morrison for those who don't know.
So thank you. Taylor Morrison is a community developer and home builder. We build in a number of states across the U.S. Generally, we focus in on those sun states. Build about 10,000 homes a year.
Wow.
And we build for all consumer groups. And about a third of our business are millennials. We also, about a third is that 55 plus buyer. So that we sell to them in both active adult 55 plus lifestyle communities as well as in traditional neighborhoods. And then there's a piece in between of both urban and a first time move up, second time move up luxury buyer.
And just a little bit about your background. How did you get involved in this?
You know, I've been in this business so many years, too many to probably say out loud, but I just can't imagine doing anything else. I started many, many years ago in sales and marketing, and I started on the marketing side, and then I went into sales management, and then I went into operational management. And it's one of those businesses that just really get in your blood when you're having the opportunity to take a piece of land, and like you described, I mean, it takes a lot of focus, but there's a lot of fun and energy. Take a piece of land and see a community and get to meet homeowners, and they raise their families. There's a lot of it's just tremendous.
Have you noticed a downward trend of millennials buying homes since they've come of age?
No, in fact, I would say exactly the opposite.
Okay.
It's really wonderful. I mean, when I look at our business over the last 5 years, we've probably gone from about 20% millennials to about over 30% millennials,
That's
about
impressive.
a third. And what's interesting is we talk about millennials like they're all one group, but it's such a large range when you look at the age.
It is.
So we like to look at them, the millennials that are 30 and older, 30 to 37, 38, and then the young millennials, which are under 30. And their behaviors and habits around home buying is quite different. And you would expect that, because what's really driving that home purchase decision is really, it's not marriage, it's marriage and kids. And sometimes it's the second kid. But about 75% of our older millennials are buying their first house, and about 25%, or excuse me, of our younger millennials are buying their first house, and about 25% are buying their second house. If I look at the older millennials, it's about, it's more than half are buying their second house.
That's amazing. I want to meet those millennials. I know when I graduated college in 2008, 2009 time, we were in a recession.
You're getting close then.
I am right. I'm right there. It was during the recession, and it was hard finding jobs. It was just a interesting time in the country in terms of the economy. Has the economic turn down affected Taylor Morrison in any way?
It's been good for a number of years, and I remember those days, and they weren't fun. Our company came together in 2007, Taylor Morrison.
Part of it.
So two companies merged, and I think it's a bigger, better, stronger company today because of that merger through the downturn. But it was tough, and I think it shaped the way people look at home ownership and what's important. But today, when I look at our growth, it's been just exponential for the last, 7, 8, 9 years. And we went public in 2013. So it's really been on steroids. But I think it has informed the way the consumer, and once again, if you think about the millennials, I think they want the house. We're finding that very much. They want the house. They want the backyard. It's just they want it at the right time in their life.
That's so true. Is the recession, it happened.
It did.
It's always expected to happen again. And we usually know that we're in the recession once we're out of the recession. Is that something that your company considers? How do you plan for those types of changes?
Yeah, I think we stay very responsible and rigorous around our investment strategy. One of the main principles drivers of Taylor Morrison is we really buy our land where we believe people want to be. You know, when things get really good, people tend to, you've heard the saying, you know, drive till you can buy. But in recessionary times, those parts of town generally get very difficult. Mm-hmm. So we try to stay very core to employment centers and schools and services, and that helps mitigate. You know, absolutely, this is a cyclical industry, and in time we know something will happen. But I think we got a long time. I mean, even though this is probably the longest return on recorded history when I look at the growth, we haven't come back to where we were, and we're still underbuilding on household formation. So we're continuing to build on the need, and we haven't even come close to serving the demand that's out there. So on a macro level, things can happen. I'm actually feeling pretty positive that the next recession is not going to be led in by home building. And I think the industry's learned a lot. I think we're much more responsible around the way we develop and the way we push prices, the things that kind of got us in trouble last time.
Yeah, and I also think that they've heightened a lot of more regulation to prevent a lot of those things from happening. But back to the millennials.
Yes.
How do you appeal to them? How does your company appeal to them?
You know, I think the millennials, when I look at their relationship with home ownership, there's a lot of passion, and it's a relationship to a brand and doing the right things. And we build communities. We don't just build houses. And I think those communities stand for a lot of the things that are important to millennials. What's been really interesting for us, and I'll be honest, early on, we didn't even fully understand it, is we convert those millennials probably 2 to 3 to 1 of any other consumer group. They spend time on our website. They learn about the communities. They learn about our participation in not just the communities we build, but the bigger community and what Taylor Morrison stands for. And when they come in, they're in a much better place to now go find the specific home site, house, and pick the home of their dreams. So it's really serving their needs and really taking the time to listen to say, what is it that you need? As you're thinking about this really big decision, what are your concerns and what are the things, and you know, what does financing mean to you, and taking the time to understand and help you through that process.
Amazing. And also through your transition and providing that with your company, you're also the only female CEO of a publicly traded company.
I've heard that.
What does it mean to you to thrive in a male-dominated industry like this?
I have been doing this for so long that I'm gender blind at some level. I do what I do because I love it. And I think it was more difficult for the rest of the sector than it ever was for me. I do what I do because I love our business. I am so passionate about our company, our team. And I'm hopeful that it does give hope to other women in our industry, because we need more women in our industry. When I look at our company, about half of our workforce is female, and more than a third of our management is female. And we don't even have any affinity programs. We just actually want to make sure that people with the right skills are matched with the right jobs. We also don't have any biases. And so that diversity within our workforce is so healthy. When you start looking at the stats of who buys houses and who actually the decision maker is, the female's a really important part of it. So I think it just changes the lens a little bit, but I think all kinds of diversity are so important for our industry.
So our audience is a lot of millennials, men, women. And what would you say to any of the women out there that would want to work in a traditionally dominated industry and would love to have a leadership position? What advice would you give them in terms of your growth, your trajectory?
I think a couple things would be quite critical. One is take the time to understand what you really want. I never knew this was in my future. I went to school to be a special ed school teacher. and new opportunities presented themselves. And I just always had this kind of spirit about enjoy it, go with it, see if you like it, what's the worst that can happen. And as I kept taking these different turns, it became very clear to me where my passion was. And then once I found it, I really went after it. And then I did want to continue to grow. I really more wanted to continue to make a difference in the organization. But I never lost sight of what was important to me and who I was. And I think, so to millennials, it's just figure out what you want and then just put in the reps, the hard work to get it done. And it will make a difference. And if you're a female, don't ever lose sight of who you are. Don't try to be somebody else. It's very hard to be your best self when you're working on doing something different or what you think other people want. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing that should stand in your way.
I like that. That is inspiring. Very inspiring. I also just have to get some personal advice. I do want to buy.
Yes.
I do want to invest in this. Like, I don't even know sometimes where to start. Sometimes I look at a zip code. Sometimes I look at a particular house. I look at my bank account, my savings account.
No, that's all good.
Where should I target?
Where do you start?
Yeah, where do I start?
Yeah, it's a great question. Most people start because they really have settled in on a location that's important to them. When they think about how their life is centered around where they live and their commute to work, how much time do I want to spend on the road, all those attributes. So I think first I'd start with what's the right part of town. And once you really dive in there, as most millennials do, I would spend some time on the website because it is, what are the things that are most important to you? Is it the home? Is it the sense of the community? Is it the location? Obviously, those all have to come with the financial, within your financial capabilities. So the more you know what you're looking for, then when you're in the process and you start looking at new houses, lean on the experts and make sure you have real trust in them because the right person can really help you through this process. I wish I was building here in New York and we would just get you hooked up.
I have to look at some places where you are currently.
We can get you out to Arizona or Florida, Texas, all over the country.
Start an early retirement plan. I like
Perfect.
This. Thank you for joining us, Sheryl.
Thank you. Such a pleasure.
Thank
you.
She's very elegant.
Very elegant and very well spoken.
And that's, unfortunately, the end of today's show. Thank you for joining us.
If you missed part of this week's episode, you can catch up on all the latest on Bold TV's Fire TV channel. And make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And as always, have a great weekend.
Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.